Hey YouTube, Petey Twofinger here talking about OK Boomer. This is a wisecrack retort. It's an internet thing. I got OK Boomered a couple of months ago, and it was like, OK Boomer, you've given yourself away with your boomerisms. And I went and looked it up because I'm like, I know I'm not. This is confusing to me. I mean, there's overlapping dates. That's what I wanted to talk about. The baby boom was a successful kind of golden age of paradise that the United States experienced at the end of World War II. So everyone had a lot of jobs, there was extra money and extra time, and they were putting out vehicles were cheap, houses were cheap, Gibson guitars were cheap. It was like the heyday, and people were making love a lot. If you're cold and you can't heat your house and there's a war going on, people aren't going to be getting intimate all the time. So there was a real lot of babies born at that time, and I don't think it's really right the way they categorize it, going all the way up to 64. And the reason being, in the 60s, the world was changing so fast. One of those years in the 60s could equal many years in the 70s or 80s when you just look at the amount of change in our society. So technically, if you look it up, a boomer is someone who's born between 1946 and 1964. So like me, I'm not a boomer. I'm a Gen Xer. And that is, what was a Gen Xer?
It was like 61 to 81.
1961 to 1981. So as a millennial, you want to make sure that just because the guy looks a little older, you may be putting your foot in your mouth if you attack them with "Okay, Boomer."
Yeah, because maybe you're getting your boomerisms from your parent.
Yeah, you need to make sure that that person was born before 1964. That's the cutoff. So I missed being a boomer by 4 or 5 years, and like I said, I don't really even fit in with Gen X because of like the music that I listened to. When I was younger, was much more akin to boomer stuff. Was what I was getting off on. I wasn't listening to what was the top 40. I was listening to stuff like Pink Floyd, like the Beatles. Like that's what I really got off on. So it's kind of a goofy thing. And like I said, if you consider the amount of change between, I don't know, let's say 1963 and 1964, socially, it's. And then you're gonna say the baby boomers are people that were born because of this big thing of America having all this extra money, and you could buy a house real cheap, a car was real cheap, so people were just doing it like rabbits. So then there was all of these children that were born out of that. I don't see that just after the war, gold days of sunshine, streets are paved with gold type of thing being a reality in 1964. Okay? I think that's long gone. I think we're talking closer to 1955 for that ending. You know? I consider 1964 to be the 60s. That's the hippie, peace and love generation. I would think that started, the seeds of that were starting after 1957. So it's just something interesting to think about, and me getting worked up because somebody called me a boomer. Well, of course, I'm thin-skinned, and I do. If you're a young guy, if you're a millennial, and you're not really educated, and you just know that it's the cool thing to do to call anybody who's older than you a boomer, and if you're taking a look at me and you see how I carry myself, how I act, how I look at the millennial generation, well, yeah, I'm a boomer. It's going to be real easy for you to say that because I like Pink Floyd and because I'm a little older. But the fact of the matter is, I'm not a boomer. I'm a middle child. You know, my older brother, I don't even think he's born 4 years before me, and I really don't categorize him as a boomer. He's not a Gen Xer either. He was more, you know, in that hippie thing. That's what he was influenced by. He was influenced by the Beatles. So to me, it's kind of like there's a missing label, a category there that would go 57 to 70, 75 in there before you go with your Generation X. And now millennials or Zoomers, is it? Generation Z is the millennials? That's the same thing?
No, that's the next one.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm. I think so. You'll have to look it up. I think it's the next generation.
Do your research, which means typing stuff on a keyboard and reading for 30 seconds. Anyway, watch who you say okay boomer to, because some people are going to really take offense at that. Me, I don't think I'm a baby boomer, and I mean, come on, man. Come on. You know, I think the most important thing is that we're all human beings. And we need to, rather than being so quick to put up our defenses and point out our differences, to really try to start getting over the nitpick stuff. Just something to think about. Anyway, you guys, take care of yourselves. Enjoy your week, and peace.